Good evening. Good evening. Over there. So satsang is always an opportunity that is pretty rare in our life. Of course, satsang doesn't have to happen in this framework. But it's the very choice and intention of people to move away completely from the mundane, from the daily stream of life events, the almost uninterrupted stream of our thoughts and feelings and reactions and circumstances and nerve stimulation, relationships. It is our chance to realize that there is a meaning and an essence to life, to the cosmos, that is usually overlooked because we're so occupied. So it's our chance to pay attention not to something that is special or unique about what we're doing here, but to give attention to something that is taking place constantly, eternally, beneath the stream of our life, yet we just don't notice. It's all a matter of attention, where our energy goes to. That's why sometimes people go to caves, or do really extraordinary practices or retreats. But even here in this just less than 2 hours, we have a chance to let the world disappear. It's quite a wonderful possibility that our mind can have. Our mind can actually let the world disappear. Anyway, our mind creates the world through its thoughts, through its feelings, through its constant relating. In the same way, our mind can let the world disappear. And that's a tremendous inspiration and also a tremendous rejuvenation. It's like our entire system replenishes in such an atmosphere. So before we are going to enter the talk itself, which is as always the warm-up words and the brief meditation we start with are related to the talk itself. But before we are entering the talk, which is, let it be clear, is a meditation, though I'm going to probably shower you with many words, but words can be meditation. So before that, let us have a short meditation together to tune in to make sure we are meeting the words from a certain space, so we can close our eyes. And let our body and mind be contained in a space of silence and relaxation. As if we are literally melting our body and mind into space. Now let us make sure that everything that we have come with to this meeting, all the past, including the last moments, just before we enter the room, all of that we let go of, feeling how the space behind us is clear. Like there was no day before that. no time before this moment. Like we don't even remember where we were and what was all the urgency about. And now on the other hand, feel how the space before you, in front of you, the future, is cleared. There's always some feeling of waiting for the next thing. The feeling that this meeting is just one more event and that leads to another one and another one, what we call tomorrow. So feel how you're bringing yourself to here. Not remembering for a moment where exactly you're heading. As if slowly this moment is becoming an island. Surrounded not by past and future, but just by water or space. Feel the depth, the density and intensity of the present moment. The less it is a part of past and future, the deeper it becomes, the fuller it grows. Just for this moment, allow your mind to be without time. No moment before, no moment after. And as you breathe into this present, this moment, feel how it is. Becoming more and more of itself. Like a flower that is slowly opening. Just allow yourself to drop even the sense of present and sink into a space of complete timelessness. It's like allowing your mind to fall to free fall. Into a space where time cannot invade. So keeping this sense of absorption in the moment, let yourself slowly come out of the meditation. No need to come out of the state, only out of the meditation. The more we trust that we can keep our contact with this state also with eyes open, the more we begin to bridge meditation and the waking state. So perhaps you're already starting to guess what I'm going to talk about. It's not that subtle, right? I'm going to talk about what is, in a way, the very essence of spiritual awakening. What is the key, the most important key to a spiritual awakening? To true meditation? And that is our relationship with time. So, I don't remember, maybe I'm saying it, I say it every month, But this is one of the most important keys imaginable, but I'm not sure I can stress enough the importance of this understanding. To transform, we need, before anything else, to be able to transform our relationship with time and to be able to immerse our mind, our being, in what can be called timelessness. On one level, we can speak of being able to immerse our mind and our being in timelessness as something that is so basic, so essential for our health, our physical health, our neurological health, the functions of our brain, our psychological health. So, to a certain degree, it's something that everyone needs to practice whenever that is possible. I know it sounds like a bad joke, but sometimes to give even 5 minutes to enter timelessness, that could be enough time. If we do it right, if we understand, and I hope that in this meeting we will begin to get in touch with it. I'm sure that even if you have meditated a little in your life, you already know the taste, the aroma of timelessness, but perhaps not in this conscious way, with this understanding in mind. So it's very important to start with the understanding that as human beings there are two major ways through which we experience meaning. The meaning of our life is experienced in two ways. One is deeply connected with time, and the other is completely disconnected from time. And it's of course very confusing, but to be a human is very confusing. So what can we do? But what we need to understand is that the first meaning is shaped completely by time and depends on time. And this is when we need to build our life in order to achieve certain things, right? If at least 50% of the meaning of my life is connected to things that I build, create, and sustain. For that, I need to have patience. I need to have diligence. I need to wait. Sometimes not a few days or few weeks or even 1 year, sometimes 5, 10, 20 years to build something. Like to raise a child takes a lot of time. And it's connected very much to the feeling, the satisfaction is connected with the feeling of the growth, of raising a child from 1 year to another, seeing the child grows and flowers, and from a completely dependent creature to through all the stages of development until they grow up and don't care about us. And right now, for example, I'm doing research in a university, and obviously this research, or when I'm writing a book, a research or a book, the meaning of it is not fulfilled just by the daily practice of researching or writing, but it is fulfilled when I'm going to complete the project, right? It's hopefully. So then it takes time, and it demands a lot of patience, and the feeling that at a certain point it's going to the meaning of the project is going to be fulfilled is the satisfaction. Do you understand? It's not just what you do every day, but what you do every day is adding pieces to a puzzle that the whole thing is to have the complete puzzle. That's why you're striving. And that's also true in relationships, partnerships, and in any type of career. Building our body to a healthy measure. It's the reason we physically practice is not only to feel wonderful right now, but it's also because we are told if you practice daily, eventually you will gain some results, right? Or if you eat in certain ways, eventually you will get the right loss of weight or the right amount of health. You will feel eventually energized. You need to have patience. Most of our life is obviously dedicated to things that have a meaning that can be only fulfilled in time, right? Any type of project, anything is feeds on the feeling that the waiting will be worth it, right? That if you are paying attention, if you're dedicating time, if you're investing the energy, eventually it's going to be worth it. But of course, because these things are very tiresome and very exhausting, then we also have the wish to have experiences that are so-called outside of time, what we call vacations or enjoyable times, and then we are waiting for them. Do you understand? It's we are waiting. In April I'm going to go to somewhere. In the summer I'm going to have a retreat. Then I will be able to rest finally, or enjoy, or rejuvenate. Or after this meeting I will finally not need to listen to this guy and be able to watch TV. And then I could completely relax and clean my head. But then even when we clean our heads, our mind continues to work in the waiting project, right? Because tomorrow I'm going to do this and that, and then there is this challenge that I just need to go through it, and then I will have my clear head. Or waiting for some enjoyable thing, or dreading some horrible thing, some challenge, and in the winter we are waiting for summer. We are putting on again the coat and think, oh my God, soon the summer will come, just around the corner, in June, in July, in August. And there's always this sense of waiting. When we begin to catch the way our mind works, we realize that it's mostly waiting. It's mostly in preparation for something else. Now, why am I saying that is very confusing? Because at least 50% of the meaning of our life is going to be fulfilled through this type of meaning, through this type of time-based activity. Which of course makes it always, we're always gambling on this type of time-based activities, because we might die in 1 year, right? We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. How could we know? So then we are gambling, because we're saying, I'm putting now my energy patiently, 1 year after another, I'm going to build it, I'm going to invest until I finally see the satisfying result, but then perhaps it's going to be disrupted. Maybe there will be an earthquake, maybe a meteorite, you see, something might intervene and say, yeah, so what if you've invested 20 years? Life has its own plan. You're not going to achieve that meaning. So then, and I'm saying that only jokingly, of course, then because it's such a gambling, we need to have a safe bet. Right? That was a joke. Now, you're not joking and you're not laughing at anything that I say today, so probably my jokes are really bad. Or that you still stand from the meditation, either or. So, the other 50% have nothing to do with time. And that is very strange, because it's 50%. I'm giving it a lot, right? Because it's usually not the proportion that takes place in what we call real life. In real life, most of the time we put that, but I will answer that later. But this sense of meaning, not only it has nothing to do with time, but it is connected deeply with what I call timelessness. And timelessness is a sort of a space where our mind completely abandons the stream of time. It just steps out of it, out of the stream. And experiences meaning that cannot be achieved in the future, you see. For this we need to distinguish meaning from purpose. Purpose is included in meaning, but to experience meaning, to get in touch with meaning, we don't necessarily need to have a purpose. Purpose is always in the future. It's a sort of something that can only be achieved in the future. So purpose is that part of our meaning that is that which can only be realized in the future. And again, you need to understand, I'm talking about 50%, which means that I'm giving a lot of attention to the 50% of the time-based meaning. Because we are future-oriented, we cannot help it, you see. Even by brushing our teeth in the morning, we are doing it because we know that we need to sustain our body. Why? Because we have a certain purpose, we have orientation towards the future. And a lot of our joy and excitement, they derive from the future, right? But if we cannot step out of this stream, if we cannot put our mind in the timelessness, we cannot get in touch with the part of our being that is already realized and that has already fulfilled its purpose. You see, from the point of view of timelessness, the universe has already fulfilled its purpose. It's going nowhere. It cannot become better than that. And the 50% of the time-based activity says, what are you talking about? It can only get better because right now it's obviously missing something, and this is the part of our mind that is time-based, you see? And it is right. 50% right. And 50% wrong. It's this feeling that the time is forgotten, that time actually means nothing. That makes what we call the present, and we will talk about the present because it's a dubious term. What we call the present begins to spread and become, as we said in the meditation, denser. It is full with meaning. Usually for the time-based mind, the present is just a transition, it's a bridge. You see, it has no meaning except for the fact that it connects past and future. That's it. It's almost like a train station. That you're just standing. Why are you in a train? I hope that you're not spending your time in train stations just for because you have nothing to do. But if you do, then the example is not good for you. But if you don't, if you're like me, you're coming to train stations only for one purpose, because you were in a certain place and you want to move to another place. That's how the time-based mind treats the present, with such disinterest, such exploitation, you see. It's just something that you step on because you're rushing to somewhere else. And if this is the only mode of our mind, this is almost tragic. because we basically never feel the fullness of life that whispers and sings from every corner, every molecule of air. It tells you it's already here. It's very important to understand, but when we talk about timelessness, it's not something that you are creating in your mind. Do you understand? It's not like, okay, now I will make some timelessness. You don't make it. You tune into it like in a radio station. You just change your station, and you begin to unify your mind, your being, with a different mode. And this mode is not an achievement. Finally, you see, finally there is something that is not an achievement. It's so needed for our health and psychology that and psyche that we cannot believe it. When they don't have it, sleep, deep sleep is their last resort. But that is not the same, because sleep is just that you're gone, and life wants to show you when you're present, you see, when you can acknowledge. So when you tune into this mode, you realize that actually the universe is encompassed by timelessness. Actually, it's mostly timelessness, and a little crazy rush that takes place in the middle, in some kind of a bubble that is going to explode any moment. So time is held by timelessness. They are not contradictory. They are not. It's not like it's. Even our time-based movement is held in this timeless space, in which the universe has already fulfilled its purpose and cannot get better. And you see, it's very simple, by the way, to see it maybe on a larger scale. When you look at the whole planet, you see like the whole rush of nations and politics and capitalism and this whole frantic movement. That always feels that it's like it's at least for tomorrow. And many people invest a lot of energy in in feeling that they are beings of the time, of the era, you see? It's like we are a part of, I don't know, of this, the 21st century, and this year, that year, we don't belong to that generation, and we invest a lot of energy in politics, in what's going on, in update, in trends, in the but without the feeling of not belonging to time, of having nothing to do with it. Our mind is literally eaten up by it, you see, in such a situation. It's like it's consumed and it becomes so worn out. Because it doesn't have a complementary half. So do you understand at this point how time is connected and the timeless connected to satisfaction, to fulfillment, to meaning? So then we need to ask ourselves, can we spare some time to the timeless? You see, do I have parts of the day when time disappears, when time means nothing, when my meaning is no longer connected to time? Sometimes this can happen through creativity. If you are really immersed in creativity, this happens. When it's not even the end result, what you're imagining, but because it is the day stretch without end. The day is no longer held from both sides by past and future. It is just, it's like just we described in meditation. It's just like in an island. And of course, don't have an idyllic picture in your mind that the time-based mind is going to shut up. Okay, don't worry. The time-based mind is like an over-efficient secretary. It sits and keeps typing and keeps telling you and refiling things and telling you this and that and about and about this event and about that event, and it continues to arrange everything to effectively. Don't bother with it. Always remember it's a parallel activity. And that part of the mind anyway takes place automatically. You don't need to silence it. You don't need to get rid of it. You don't need to worry about it. The only question is can the larger part of your mind be free from time? And of course, this can happen through meditation. But not meditation that is just about, relaxing. It needs to be conscious. It needs to be the feeling that you're contacting a certain space, that you're tuning in, that you're changing your radio station. It's very funny, right? When we are rushing, the time seems to move very fast. And when we are in a timeless, a day can feel like an endless space that stretches. It's like suddenly everything is so generous because because it becomes meaningful from the inside. The day doesn't serve another day. Tomorrow is not going to get better. And that's such a healing for our mind and our body that perhaps you're getting in touch with it right now. Now, what is important to understand is that there are two points of deepening in our connection with the timeless. One is to understand that there is the present, right? Because we said when there is past, present, future, the present is in the middle, the present is where we are right now, what we're doing right now. It's very good to unify our being with the present. But when we go even more deeply in meditation, even the present falls away. What we call this moment, you see, this moment is I'm here with the flowers, I'm here with you, we are right now together in the now, but there is a deeper level of timelessness. In which we're getting in touch with the timeless zone of the universe itself. With what was before the beginning of time. The feeling that the whole movement of time is gone, even the now. So that's where awakening really deepens. And the second deepening is the understanding that it's not, timelessness is not something that you necessarily need to give special times to, you see? Because it's always. It's even while you're doing the stuff that is meant to lead you to tomorrow. They're not really two contradictory or opposing halves. It's the timeless is like the container, the space that contains time. But this is not necessarily, these two shifts, they don't necessarily happen immediately here, you see? That's the tricky part, right? Because I'm saying, here, sometimes we cannot accept it. We say, if you say that this is already here, then how come this goes more and more deeply? Because if it goes more and more deeply, it means that it's going to take some time to understand. Here it's not a matter of time, it's a matter of more and more attention and being able to allow yourself to really let go, you see? It's like really to die to the world of time. Disbelieving the mind that says, hey, wait and see, around the corner, in 5 minutes, in 1 year, in 10 years, in 50 years. It will always say that. When you grow wiser, you know that it always says exactly the same thing. Which means that it must lie, right? If it says the same thing over and over again, this cannot be the truth. If in the winter I'm waiting for summer, if in this evening I'm waiting for, I don't know, a date, an event, a good night's sleep, or tomorrow morning, if when I'm meeting with friends, I'm already in my mind in the next meeting, and if in the next meeting I'm already in the other, how can this be true? Or satisfying? The good thing is that our mind actually, how can I say it, against all common belief. The mind likes very much the timeless. It has a bad reputation, the mind, right? That it's always chattering, always moving, and so on, but and always neurotic. But this is not true at all. It just got out of hand because it is not tuned in to what it loves. No reasonable mind can love obsessive thinking. And actually our mind really loves to be in a state of non-movement. It doesn't have to move with time. It doesn't have to have this feeling of constant evolution, like it's in a project. It doesn't have to belong to time. So, see if you can allow that space. And I know it's not always easy to remember because we've become really addicted to time, and because things are now quicker, the sense of waiting, impatience, and movement, it's only increasing. If I don't know, a farmer 200 years ago could still maybe glimpse sometimes while working with lettuce under the sun, sometimes a feeling of the wonder of being. Now it's, let's say, a bit more difficult. It demands more resourcefulness, more determination. But really, the world of time doesn't need you all the time. You're not its managers. It has a strong enough momentum. It manages pretty well. And when the the world of time continues to chat inside, just look beneath it. Don't try to push it away. Just look beneath it. Or look at what surrounds it. If you can live these two types of meaning at the same time, nourishing this and nourishing that, that is already extraordinary. Again, when you begin to realize that you don't need to sacrifice this for that it's all really silly to need to drop one half of human life and one half of human meaning and to choose. We don't need to choose. I have never chosen, you see. Because as long as you breathe, you must have time-based meaning. You must. You cannot avoid it. You can fool yourself, but you cannot avoid it. And if you avoid it completely, you will live a very strange life. You will need a lot of suppression to handle that. But also to please do not deny the other half. Find for it timeless moments and perhaps even challenge your concept that when you are in time-based movement, then there is no time for timelessness. You see, that is so wrong. Because the whole of the noisy history of mankind, the shouts and the screams and the killings and the hopes and the enterprises and the wishes and the prayers, all of that has been held by timelessness. Just people have never bothered to look outside their obsession with time. So let's see if there are questions. Also here, you are invited to ask questions.
I think I have a question.
Please.
It sometimes happens after an action, let's say I finished a telephone call or some other action,
Yes.
then there seems to be, I must say like this.
A what?
It seems to be just nothing, like falling into a gap.
Yes.
And there's nothing for a moment, and then suddenly the mind comes back, completely confused, and asking what happened now, and being a bit shocked. So how to cope with this, or what to do with it?
But before I'm answering, what does this nothing feel like? Could you explain? What do you mean by? You say that after a certain action in life,
Yes,
right?
sometimes
There is a feeling of falling into a sort of what?
Like there's suddenly a gap.
Yes.
I just try to describe it, and if time stopped,
Yes.
just like this, and then maybe after a while, I can't say it in this because for me at this moment time stopped. The mind comes and is confusion there
Yes.
first, and also like a shock, yeah, and then a thought comes up, what was this now, and
Yes. So you say that
reaction of this.
there is like a falling into a sort of a gap in which nothing happens. Then the mind comes back with a shock, asking what happened there. The thing is, how to then advise your mind to go on and participate in it. You see, because what you are describing, it's our life is filled with gaps all the time that we try to cover up because we are horrified of gaps. You see, we are horrified of gaps in discussions, right? Like we have in Satsang. In Satsang we have gaps. Sometimes I don't talk. There is nothing going on, and then sometimes people are very embarrassed. It's like, is this guy like okay? Or is it over now? Is it going to continue? And in Satsang, the gaps are acknowledged, you see. We say yes. Our narrative, it's like a bad script, you see. You know, when they criticize bad scripts, they say that they have holes in the script. It's like some parts that are like sort of gaps of meaning, of logic. And the thing is that our life is a bad script, okay? It's filled with holes. So it's in every conversation when we try to speak about something and when we are terrified of the abyss that is waiting for us. This moment in which we understand that we really have nothing to say. We're just pretending. People who engage in a very wakeful, uninterrupted conversations are just such good pretenders. Admirable. How can they keep it up? We have gaps in between every moment of desire and the ending of desire. Desire and fulfillment. We have a gap between actions. We have gaps between thoughts, between feelings. Our emotional and mental worlds are like nets filled with endless holes. But we deceive ourselves by noticing only the net, you see? And then we think that we are whole, we are a self. We're not a self even. There is nothing there. There's just flashes of things that we are carefully gluing, making sure that nobody will notice that our narrative is basically completely defected. You see, we are bad script writers. And you awaken when you admit that you are a bad script writer, you see? You say, okay, actually, the story of my life is really badly written. There's nothing that I can really say to convince myself that it's a one continuum of cause and effect and with beginning, middle, end, purpose, and so on. It's not like that. So then, what you're describing is that you are entering this gap. There is an ending of even here. When I speak, there is a full acknowledgement of the gaps between every word and another, every sentence and another. It's all imbued with nothing, you see? It's our words now, they swim in nothing. And it shouldn't horrify us because, sometimes this paralyzes us. We see, if it's so full of nothing, so what's the point? But that's the dance, you see? It's life in nothing. And it's not less beautiful because it's in nothing or less meaningful. Actually, it is more meaningful because then it shines as brief moments that also has death, you see? Mm-hmm. And it's beautiful to have death.
Yes, it's because it feels as if I'm not existent in this.
Of course, you're always not existent, yes.
So
you're just realizing that. You say, oh my God, there is a patch. It's like I was just trying to create continuous self-existence. You see? So this self exists only when it relates to some object.
So my question was that I'm just not listening to the mind, or because.
No, it's not about not listening to the mind. On the contrary, invite the mind to participate in the gap. Tell the mind, guide it. You are the master of the mind, you see, as consciousness, as the wakefulness, as the source of attention. Guide it with wisdom. Tell it, don't be horrified. That's your real home. Relax into it. Breathe. Feel the space. It will replenish you. It will purify you. It will make you actually much healthier. And because as soon as the mind begins to make friends with the nothing, it's like returning a fish from the aquarium into the sea. You see, it's like, oh my God, all this space! I don't need to bump against the walls all the time. I can actually have space. That's my home. Minds love gaps. They're not really hysterical. It's just a sort of a first impulse because the conditioned mind recognizes it as a contradiction, as the opposite of its activity, and then it's but it's not the opposite. It's the background that is consistent. If you love it, your mind too must love it. If you love it, your mind and eventually your body must love it. You see, because bodies also love timelessness. They love it. They breathe. You see, it doesn't. makes, again, bodies also love, just to be clear, bodies also love, physical bodies, they love time-based purpose, you see, because it's the feeling, as long as it's not neurotic and hysterical, because the body loves to have a certain clear intention. It gathers the energy, it makes it, it integrates it. So that's healthy. That's why ambition is good, you see. But to just have ambition without its complementary half, that's nobody could ever like it. No mind could ever like it. Okay? Yeah. So just invite it. Just invite it. Hey, don't go. And we don't need now to return to the which you can just let's be here. Let's breathe. What just happened by itself is actually a revelation of something that is still here, also after the panic, you see. The panic doesn't make nothing go away, you see. It only covers up the nothing, which means deceiving yourself.
Thank you.
Yes, please.
This is a question.
The computer has a question.
Could you say the person?
What is the name of the real person?
I believe it's Michael Lindenberg.
Okay. Hello.
Can we say that a certain kind of darkness is timeless and light the beginning of the realm of time?
So can we say that the darkness is the timeless, right? And that yes, and that light is the beginning of time.
A realm of time. Yes.
The realm of time. Yes, exactly. Of course, we need to understand time, movement, and space. They are deeply related. That's why in spiritual enlightenment, the first thing that you need to let go of is time. That's the first thing. Then, when you let go of time, then you begin to need to face the issue of space. You see, because when you realize that the time is gone, you also realize that all places are just one place. That there is no movement really, and that's also essential. But that again, only if we really are eager to go deeply. So when you look at the universe, when you look at this whole thing that is the closest thing that we have to infinity, that is not imagined, right, or projected. It's very vast. And in this vastness, there are the objects that are lighted and that are sources of light also are actually ridiculously insignificant compared to the space that encompasses them. This is the universe and us are one, you see. What the way our mind is built, the way our inner world is, it resembles or even identical to the way the universe is. So then, when we realize the ratio between dark space and light, points of light, that is pretty shocking. It's mostly dark. That's why, by the way, black has a really bad reputation in the spiritual world. Like, black is some kind of, we usually say the forces of dark and light, right? That is really not fair, because dark is actually, blackness is to a certain degree even more spiritual than light. Light beams in the darkness, but and it is the source, the beginning of life. You see, light is a sign of life. It's the sign of creation. But black is the color of the source, of the eternal. So then when you realize that, then yes, timelessness and darkness are deeply connected, and that's why I love so much. I don't know if you are aware of this practice. This is a very ancient practice. We're actually creating just now exactly such a space at the center, in this center, and there is an ancient practice of being in completely dark space, which means completely dark space without even a tiny speck of light. And that is a very important spiritual practice. As soon as you enter completely dark space, you also enter timelessness. Immediately the world dissolves, because time and the world are one. If there is time, there is a world. If there is no time, there is no world. So it's really healthy to just make everything dark in your space for some time and sit there with your eyes open, actually, and just let your being melt into space. You see, space is both visible and invisible. Time is light, and the radiance. It's life that illumines, that shines out of the blackness and creates this play of forms within the blackness. Any more questions? No questions. That's the first time in the history of my work. Perhaps probably I'm that good today. Yes, please. No, that's my theory is ruined. Yes, please.
How everything what you said today is connected to Wahrheit, because in the announcement of the Satsang, Nora makes the text, I don't know, said you speak about truth. In German,
Yeah.
I read it in German, so it's Wahrheit, truth. And it's it's not but I mean, perhaps you can speak a bit about time and timelessness. And you say also truth for a while. Is it okay? Truth?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so what do you want me to speak of? Just because obviously the text that about the satsang is exactly the same text every month. There is satsang is the only place where I pretty much allow myself to be spontaneous. There is no planned teaching because that's an anti-teaching actually. Yes.
Mostly I realize that, yes.
Yeah. Yes. Truth is a diamond with endless angles, you see. And I'm already speaking of this diamond for nearly 20 years, and the angles are countless, but the diamond is one. The diamond is truth. Yes. Any last question? Please.
Even if I have in meditation some moments without thinking,
Yes.
then I feel my body,
Yes.
My breathing and my heart, and so.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
Is this good or not? Or I feel something like a little flutter in the brust, in the chest, a little bit like a bird moves through the chest, or I feel my heart. This is not timelessness. I feel my body. Even if I don't think for some.
So the question is if I'm in meditation and then I'm entering a thoughtless space and still I'm feeling the body and some sensations in the body. Does that count as timelessness, or? It's good that we feel the body, you see, because it means that we're probably still alive. We always need to remember everything that we're going to experience in this life, we're going to experience through the body, enabled by the body, in participation of the body. The nervous system, the brain, the chakra system, the glands, and that is the vehicle. Sometimes when we go very deeply, there are states in which there is a sort of a physical dissolution. It feels there are, of course, different states of meditation, and sometimes it's the physicality dissolves. It's like it becomes molecules, then it becomes space. The body itself feels like space. Sometimes the sense of self dissolves. It all depends. And sometimes there is we are in contact with the body. So it's all just different aspects of meditation. You see, we always, again, we don't need to resist anything that arises in these moments when we put our attention in meditation or in timelessness. So that is definitely not the problem. And as we say, timelessness can still encompass the body, you see? It encompasses the moment right now, even while we are having all our senses awake. It's just being aware that at a certain point we can try, just gently, to ask ourselves, is there a state where even the sensation of the body dissolves? Is that still allowed by our body? Yes. It's still the participation, it's still the vehicle is there. The brain goes through all that, communicates with the truth and so on, but we always need to remember this body essentially is also made of space. And therefore, when we go deeply even into it, we realize that the body and space are not really two entities. It's not like there is the body and space. First it's the body in space, then the body as space. So just play with it. Don't push it too strongly with over-ambition. Remember, timelessness is not a time for being again oriented towards a purpose. But it's always good to know that there is depth, that there is so much reality to uncover, and that it's such a joy to uncover it. If I knew that for sure that your question would be 1 minute, then then I would take it.
Just the amount of timelessness, you said 50%, maybe is helping to have 50% timelessness time or moment in our lives. So when we get in contact to this feeling of nothing, on the one hand, it makes me secure, just that there's more depth and holy. But on the other hand, it makes the time reality a little funny. So how can I handle it seriously?
Well, funny, you mean that it becomes like,
Oh, okay. So.
But that's good. It's good that it becomes funny because then we're less anxious about it, you see? It's good to be less anxious and less to have our life depending on the outcome, because the outcome is not in our hands. You see, I can put all my energy in something, and it can all go wrong eventually. My whole house of cards might collapse in front of my devastated eyes. Like, you know. Reality of life is unreliable. So then the most important thing is, if the meaning of my life depends on the outcome of my actions, I'm in trouble. Because that means gambling. And when we gamble, we are very anxious, you see? So if things look funny, the fact that they're funny, I can promise you it will not prevent you from continuing to do the things and to put energy in them, because that's a very strange thing about human life. You know, we will always take seriously life. Even if we try to ridicule it, it will we will still eventually we will understand that it's also a serious matter. But if you have this, it means you have a sort of an inner smile. You see? That inner smile is precious than gold. If you have that inner smile, you are a Buddha. You see? That's a Buddha attribute. It's this feeling that even when it's really serious, it's not serious. You see? At the end of time, in a complete calculation, in the larger perspective possible, it's not that serious. Very good. So, thank you so much for the beautiful time that we've shared, for the beautiful questions and your genuine listening. Thank you.